Currently in Formula 1, there's a massive battle going on, and I'm not talking about like a battle for P1, P2, because let's be real, Red Bull are winning every single race. Well, Verstappen.
Max Verstappen, Max Verstappen, Max Verstappen, Max Verstappen crosses the line to take victory!
Unless his car blows up. Ferrari, Aston Martin and McLaren are squabbling in their own business, and then that leaves, well, pretty much every other team. Okay, maybe I've taken it a tad too far, not every other team, because they're still Mercedes, but in 2 years' time, maybe 3, they're going to be P10, they're going to be battling for last, if their whole trajectory continues to exponentially decrease. It's not looking good for them at all, so fix up before you're battling the Haas's in a couple years, because that would be tragic. The day Hamilton leaves Mercedes, they will have a terrorist on their team and some kind of noob compared to Hamilton, so there's going to be no faith in them whatsoever, or I'm not going to have faith in them because it's going to be awful. But that's enough of the Mercedes slander. That leaves 5 teams who are battling for P10 in the standings, and honestly, every single one of them could take P10 at the end of the year. So, with that said, who do you guys think is going to take P10? Put it in the comments whilst you're there. Subscribe and like, enjoy the video. Do not enjoy the video. Enjoy the video. Williams. Their last win was in 2012 in Spain with Pastor Maldonado. That's like Logan Sargent in today's day and age winning a race, or Latifi, or Mazepin. It's just not supposed to happen. Their last podium was also pretty frauded in the 2021 Spa Grand Prix, which they didn't even race a proper single lap, so there was that. Big fraud. And they've been bench-warming P10 in the Constructors for what seems like ages. They've had so many shit drivers in their team. Pastor Maldonado, Latifi. And surely by now they should have learned their lesson that, maybe we should employ some good drivers. And what, they go get Logan Sargent again with the second year? To score some good points, or any points in Formula 1, you need 2 good drivers who can not crash, stay on track, not spin, and be on the track more than they are in the gravel. And currently, it seems like Williams don't have either. It seems like they've flown over to Snowdon in Wales, picked up a goat and stuck him in the car, that being Alex Albon. And then you have Logan Sargent, which they've kind of scrambled out of a trash can as a last resort. You see, last year Williams were kind of cooking. By Williams, I mean solely Albon, because Logan Sargent's humble abode was the wall or the gravel. But this year, in some miraculous ways, Alex Albon has somehow managed to equal Logan Sargent's record of not finishing, not starting races, crashing out into barriers, gravel traps, all of this. And it seems like both of the drivers are kind of... something's gone on. Which now that leaves them with 2 or 1 pretty much very much incompetent driver, and then Alex Albon, who's been either unlucky or drunk every time he's been driving this year. They've taken a massive step back from last year. Last year they were battling. Albon qualified P4 in Zandvoort. That's his all-time high. Battling for P7s, 6s sometimes, maybe. Well, Albon was battling for that. Logan Sargent, what was he doing? Oh, wait, bench warming P20. Like usual. At the end of last year, they finished P7 in the Constructors, which is good for Williams. But this year, they have a worse livery, worse car, worse engine, worse literally everything. And most importantly, less points than they did this time last year. That's the most important thing. Let's be real, Logan Sargent's time in Formula 1 is coming to an end, and if he somehow frauds himself a 3rd year just like Latifi, I'm gonna stick my head into a dryer, put it on full blast, and hopefully head will come off. Let's only pray and hope that James Vowles can secure a good driver to replace Logan Sargent, because in all of the races that Logan Sargent has competed in, he's scored 1 point compared to Alex Albon's 27. 1 point. And that wasn't even on merit. 2 cars had to be disqualified. 2024 realistically should be forgotten about for Williams, just like many other seasons in the past, because they might probably finish P10 unless some miracles happen and Albon scores a couple points, because no faith in Sargent. Alex Albon maybe can clutch up. Faith? I have faith in you, but this isn't a junkyard, it's a garage. You see, the problem with Alpine is they're not just your regular backmarker. They've won championships just like Williams in the past. And somehow they've turned their mediocre rocket ship the wrong way, and now they have a tractor. That's not necessarily their problem. That just highlights how much they've fallen from grace, and they have fallen far down. But the problem with Alpine is over the last couple seasons, they were battling for podiums, sometimes wins, consistently. And now they've come to the track with a literal I can compare it to a tractor, a snail, because that's all it is. I don't know, they won a race in 2021. They scored multiple podiums last year. And somehow, their car this year is slower than their car last year, which doesn't make sense. In the last couple years, they've lost Alonso as a driver. They fired like 17 different team principals. They've gotten disrespected by Oscar Piastri. And currently, Oscar Piastri has more points in the last 2 seasons than Alpine in general, both drivers combined. Now that is disrespect. And currently, they're arguably the worst team with 2 drivers with the emotional capacity of a 6-year-old and absolutely 0 fans. So do I have faith in them? No. Faith in Williams? Maybe slightly more, just because Albon's there. But Alpine is just down the drain. Is this a little blip in Alpine's history, or have they actually turned into Haas, and Haas turned into Alpine? Because Haas is scoring some mediocre points, and Alpine is scoring nothing. And while Alpine are struggling to make it out of Q1, they're battling with Logan Sargent to not finish last, which is shameful in itself. Let's not even mention the ugly livery that just blends in with the tarmac. Shout out Luigi for that one.
They blend into the pavement.
But 2024, just like Williams, also seems like a write-off, and they'll be happy not to finish. They will finish last, maybe, unless some miracle happens midway through the year. I don't see anything changing. To put it simply, I have as much faith in Alpine as they do points currently, which, if you count all of them up, is 0. You see, unlike certain teams with dope histories, I'm talking about dope as in cool, don't get all excited now.
Smoke weed every day.
Williams has fallen from grace since their whole prime back in the 90s and so on and so forth. Same with Alpine, they've fallen from grace, and those teams are currently disappointment. But the thing is with Saba, they've never disappointed. Why that is because they've never had a high, and they've never had anyone to disappoint. Because they've never been good, so they've always just stayed bad. Pretty much nearly every season they've competed in, they've been near last. And honestly, props to them, because that is kind of impressive. Like, genuinely, that is impressive. For so many years to be so shit, fair play. And to say that this season would be any different, I'd be lying, and Dolores Umbridge would be very, very mad. So, clearly, it isn't different at all, because they are also quite shit. For starters, their livery looks like Ben 10 has just puked all over a stock livery in F1 2023, and they've called that a day.
Brother, what's that, brother?
Their pit stops are slower than their race pace. I mean, heck, anything that is under 20 seconds as a pit stop for Sauber this year is good. That's a good pit stop. And no, they're not changing front wings, just the wheels. 20 seconds is a good pit stop for them. I mean, heck, they're slower than Formula 2 pit stops, Formula 3 pit stops, with half, maybe even a quarter of the people who are operating on the car.
What?
They have a washed driver in Valtteri Bottas who peaked in Mercedes, and in that time, whilst Lewis Hamilton was fragging away getting 4 championships and scammed on the 5th one, Valtteri Bottas only amassed a grand total of 10 wins. And ever since then, he's been more focused on his hair, his body, his calendars, and not the racing itself. And he's been irrelevant since Imola 2021. And that wasn't even like an achievement of his. That was just a George Russell terrorist moment. And then they have Zhou Guanyu, who is only talked about when you're talking about the whole Silverstone 2022 crash. And in China this year, he celebrated getting P14 or something like that, like he's just won the championship. And I don't think he's going to be doing that anytime soon. Heck, even winning a race, getting on the podium, fastest lap, that's just not happening with the Zhou. Getting into the point of the struggle on its own for him. There might not be a decent scrap for the championship this year, but there definitely is a decent scrap for P10 because so many teams have got it so wrong. Because if Williams, Alpine somehow manage to fraud a point, don't know how that will happen, but say they do, well, it's Sauber who's going to be last because the other 2 teams, they have more points. And it's good that they're being sold to Audi, put Sauber out of their misery once and for all, move on to bigger and better things. One less shit team in Formula 1 makes me happy. RB, AlphaTauri, Toro Rosso, whatever you want to call it. It might be one of, if not the most useless teams in Formula 1, ever. Number 1, they will never win a championship in Formula 1. The list is over. They will never win a championship in Formula 1. Ever. Whereas others have hopes to win a championship. Sauber, Alpine, Williams, they'd love to win another championship. Is it gonna happen? Not in the near future, because they are absolute dog shit. Their driver drama matches the drama from like an American high school. And to say that the drama is fading away, no it's not, because ever since Verstappen joined and Jev left, there's been tragedy. No matter what year it is, no matter what season, there always somehow manages to be an absolute dog shit of a driver. Horrid, absolutely horrible driver at the team. I mean, there was Yuki in 2021, then there was Nick DeBris, we all know what happened to him, and now there's an 8-time race winner. And Yuki Tsunoda, who is arguably a good driver now. But surely this is the year where everything should be going smoothly. An 8-time race winner, Daniel Ricciardo, he's in the team. He should put up some stonking numbers, right? I know about that one, Chief. You see, Daniel Ricciardo joined the AlphaTauri in hopes to get back to the Red Bull seat, but currently, his only hopes are not to be dropped midway through the season, because his on-track performances, off-track, everything has been awful. And we all know Lawson's grinning in the background waiting for Daniel Ricciardo to make one more mistake. Now, fair enough, in China, Daniel Ricciardo technically on track was higher up the order than Yuki Tsunoda, but they still both DNF.
Oh, it's before,
Tsunoda!
Alright, yeah. So there's that. The only way Daniel Ricciardo can finish ahead of Yuki is if they both DNF. Now, they might not have any championship hopes or podium hopes or win hopes or anything like that, but to say they haven't been cooking for their standards, I'd be lying again, because P6 currently, that's actually pretty good for RB. Well, not RB, I mean Yuki Tsunoda. He's been doing all of the work. Daniel Ricciardo is more of an anchor. However, they built up so much hype at the start of the season. Daniel Ricciardo was hyped up so much. I thought easily couple podiums from him. No, I don't know what's more of a disappointment. That to the fact that I was expecting actual good results from them, or the fact that Daniel Ricciardo is, well, he's Daniel Ricciardo currently. Now on track, RB might be scrapping the Williams, Alpines, Sabas, Haas, but they are slightly clear of them. Maybe slightly. Maybe that's because they've stolen last year's Red Bull and adapted a couple things. But hey, who's gonna judge, right? And last but not least, there's Haas, who is in the mix of the P10 standings conundrum. And ever since they joined Formula 1 in 2016, they've been seat-warming that P10 seat in the Constructors, well, ever since. In the grand total of 9 seasons they've been in Formula 1, they've amassed a total of, drumroll, 0 wins, 0 podiums, and 1 frauded pole position. Seems like nearly every year they are the worst, or if not by far the worst car in Formula 1, and this year is no different. They've snagged a couple points this year, which is fair enough, you gotta give props where props is due, and it's honestly surprising that they can manage to do that knowing their whole history. They've all been gathered by an ancient relic in Hulkenberg, which, he's pretty old. And then you got Kevin Magnussen, who has not only been crashing himself out pretty much every race, but ruining everyone else's, which is pathetic because he's been in the sport for how long? Now, I don't know about you, but I've never seen a Haas fan, and surely in all their years they would have improved, even slightly, but no. And still this year, they're in the hunt to finish P10, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do. Consider selling the team Gene Haas? Who do you guys think is going to finish P10? Put it down in the comments. I think I'm going to say Alpine just for the jokes and memes, because I'd love to see that happen. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe. Have a good day. Stay safe. Don't die. Peace.